Let us start with the question. Okay, why do youngsters want to drink in parties? Why is it perceived cool? If you have ever tried to convince someone, don't drink, why do you drink? What are the common reasons they say? Youngsters around you in your family, in your building, who are drinking to celebrate the New Year party. That's the focus. So, what do you think? Why are youngsters drinking an addictive poison to enjoy the party?
I haven't consumed alcohol in my life. I
Hmm.
have seen people make a monkey of themselves,
Hmm.
and my decision. But yeah, I do know that it's a experience which
Hmm.
people enjoy, right?
Hmm.
And I personally don't tell people don't have alcohol. I have not told my son don't have alcohol. I
Okay.
think people are entitled to their choice. So one is you set your example, but yeah, okay. So talking about the experience, the kids of the present generation are very okay to, try out new experiences.
Hmm.
Say at my time, 35 years back when I was a teenager, there was a lot of fear in trying out new experiences. There was a lot of taboo. There was a lot of parental control, social norms, and blah, blah, blah.
Hmm.
Now all that is folded down, right? People have a
Right.
lot of exposure. They have a lot of access. And then
Right.
they don't have the fear of trying out. There, I think.
So let me pause you. I got what you
Hmm.
said. Okay, there is a lot of curiosity to try out, and there is permission. The previous generation, um, you didn't, the parental controls were stronger, the societal controls were stronger. Now, this generation has the freedom. So, for example, you as a father believe, okay, I can't force my son, which is good, but I'm just saying, okay, the parental controls are low and they were. I have two, three responses. I believe we may not have a right to control, but we don't have a right. We even have a responsibility to at least
Yes,
guide,
yes,
right? And I think as a society we are failing to do that. For example, I had attended a marriage wherein the bride's mother welcomed us as youth, saying, "K, and the bar is over that side." Then don't say we are orthodox people. So we are not even recommending. Okay, this according to us is a unhealthy thing or a harmful thing. Another example will be there is a lot of curiosity, as you said, to try out. Now, why do they have a curiosity to try out? Because a lot of money is being pumped, lot of celebrities, actors, actresses, cricketers, promising great life if you drink. And almost no one confidently telling them, don't do it, it's stupid. Then why they wouldn't have a curiosity? What you said.
I mean, right. Alcohol advertising is banned in India.
But surrogate ads, alcohol is the most commonly advertised product. For example, Alia Bhatt and
Yes.
Priyanka Chopra also
Mm.
have now started doing that, right? So the point is that there is a high curiosity. And why is there a high curiosity? Because relatively the awareness about facts is low. I often say that people are not curious to try rat poison, but they are curious to try alcohol because they're very clear rat poison is bad. But alcohol, not so bad. It's fun, it's good, and not very harmful. That's the belief they have. And as adult society, teachers, doctors, the more we educate them, the curiosity will get killed. And then if they are convinced that alcohol is harmful, then they would not want to try it. Okay. So that is one. And lastly, I do believe that the impact of society and peer pressure is far bigger than what we can have as parents or uncles or friends. And therefore, even if we want to protect our own child, we will have to act at the society level. If we try to counsel and educate only our son or daughter, but all their friends are taking alcohol, well, then they are bound to take it. And therefore, we need to act at a society level, is what I feel. So let me summarize few reasons which I thought why people, youngsters, wish to take alcohol. First is what I said, a relative lack of knowledge about the consequences and the risk perception of alcohol is lower compared to other addictive substances. Second is a belief which the industry sells, drink responsibly, enjoy responsibly. And they believe that so far as I'm going to take it responsibly, occasionally in parties, the harm is not much. Third is a very popular belief, it will help relax, it will help me feel good. and there is an expectation. Okay, drinking alcohol will be a great experience because of what they have seen, the way it is portrayed in advertisements and in life in general. And of course, it gives a good high. So they look at people enjoying it. So they also want to enjoy. Must be very good. Fourth is they need some fun at least. The expectation is there is fun, and a lot of youngsters there is no fun in life. There's very stressed life, so I need at least some fun. Fifth is all do it. It's normal. I asked one college girl, "Why do you take it?" and she was like, "Everyone does it, so that's the normal thing to do." So we unfortunately have allowed the atmosphere to become so bad that it is stressful to not drink. You are the black sheep if you're not drinking. That's the level of peer pressure in some circles the youngsters are facing. And sixth is of course I mean the same thing. One aspect of it is it feels normal. इसमें कुछ गलत है ही नहीं. And second aspect of it is I won't be accepted. So let us look how you can possibly answer all of these, starting with it's not as harmful. A good question to ask them is how does alcohol kill? Through which modes you die? One is liver cirrhosis and pancreatitis. Anything else? So I have been to 66 medical colleges till now. And even in a medical college, when I ask this question, liver cirrhosis and pancreatitis is the only confident answer which comes. If 100 people die by alcohol, only 20% roughly die by liver cirrhosis and pancreatitis. Well educated people are not aware about the remaining 80% deaths. Another 20% is accidents, which we are like, accidents we agree, we knew. But to an open-ended question, we don't connect the dots. Right? Accidents, all of you will say, yes, yes. Alcohol intoxication, accidents happen. Accidents on the road, drownings. Drowning in bathtubs, which nowadays we have heard of few celebrities. Drowning in rivers, lakes, swimming pools under intoxication. Third is heart attacks and strokes. Heart attacks and strokes because of atherosclerosis developing. And alcohol damages the inner lining of the arteries, which makes it more vulnerable for atherosclerosis developing, and the coagulability of blood increases. Now, the irony is everyone is aware of the misconception that little bit alcohol is good for your heart. But hardly anyone is aware of the fact that heart attacks and strokes are one of the most common ways in which alcohol kills. The fourth way it kills is infectious diseases because it decreases your immunity. And once your immunity is low, infectious diseases like tuberculosis, pneumonia, COVID, you become more vulnerable for them. So as we know, the COVID virus went in all of us. Some of us didn't even realize, some of us had a mild illness, and some of us died. What was the deciding factor? It was the immunity. And so in today's age of pandemics, it has become all the more important that we don't do something which is gonna harm our immunity. Lastly, HIV and various other sexually transmitted diseases. We all know that you should wear a condom before having sex with multiple partners or someone new or someone whose status of STDs you don't know. And therefore, most people will wear a condom. But those who are intoxicated under drugs or alcohol don't care about things. They are relaxed, carefree, and then they engage in unprotected sex, ending up with HIV and other sexually transmitted diseases. Then comes cancers. It has been proven now that alcohol is causally related to cancers of the mouth, pharynx, larynx, esophagus, colon, rectum, liver, and female breasts. Not all cancers of the mouth, but many cancers of the mouth, many cancers of these various organs. In fact, the risk is so strong that it has been proven that when a lady chooses to drink alcohol, her risk of breast cancer increases by 30 to 50%. And even light alcohol consumption can result in it. And roughly it is for each drink she drinks daily. For example, if she is drinking one drink daily, her risk is about 7% increased. If she is drinking two drinks every day, then roughly it is 14% increased, and so on. Then comes accidents. Accidents we said. Then comes murders and suicides. So why do we attribute these murders, accidents to alcohol? Because it's a physiological property of alcohol. कि once you are intoxicated, you don't think of consequences. So they propose करना है जा बिंदास पी के जा. But on serious things also, the mind is not thinking. And therefore, thoughtlessly, on small, small things, people end up fighting and at times killing each other. Like we saw in the film, No One Killed Jessica. An intoxicated person was not given another drink, he just killed her impulsively. According to WHO, 18% murders occurring in our society are attributable to the circumstances created by intoxication or alcohol dependency. Accidents, we all know, under intoxicated state, people are not able to judge the distance, and um, they are unable to have control over their wheel or brakes, and they end up with accidents. Now, the question is, why do well educated people who know that they shouldn't be drinking and driving, why do they end up driving under intoxication? There are two simple answers. Okay, while when you are intoxicated, your abilities go down, your confidence becomes double. And therefore, people, well educated people, end up driving. I'll give you an example. So once I had gone to a particular CME and my psychiatrist friend was intoxicated a bit. But because it was his hometown and his car, ultimately two other psychiatrists ended up sitting in that car. And we couldn't convince him to give the car to my other friend who could drive. And finally, an intoxicated psychiatrist was driving, and two other psychiatrists were sitting because he was confident that I can drive. And we were also like, "Abhi wo nahi maan raha, kya kar sakte?" Which is sad, right? So first is confidence, and the second is people go in a party, they drink, and now, of course, if they have taken a Uber and gone, it's okay. But if they've not taken an Uber, they think that I will take only one drink, and by the time I leave, it will be okay. But they end up drinking, let's say, four or five. Now, can they keep the car over there and go back home? So they're bound to drive the car back. So you will see that a lot of drunk and driving accidents are by very well educated people who are now sitting in the jail and wondering, how did I end up killing someone? I was such a good person. So, fine. So it just happens. And therefore, these accidents are attributable to alcohol. Similarly, suicides. A lot of people who get addicted, they understand that the addiction is ruining their life, their family's life, their children are not having enough, their wives are miserable, but yet they are not able to stop. And then they end up with a suicide. Or their wives are frustrated and they don't see a solution to this problem. And they know that this human being is a nice human being. And for many a times, they have had a very good bond for many years. And she feels emotionally trapped. They end up with a suicide. So 18, a substance which is supposed to be the giving you joy and fun, is responsible for 18% suicides occurring in our society. It's a nice thing to keep in mind. And then epilepsy, if you drink, the probability of a seizure is more, and you end up, if the seizure happens suddenly and you fall or you hit something, you can die. So the point I encourage all of you to tell youngsters is this question can really floor them. Okay, they will not be able to say anything more other than um, okay, other than liver cirrhosis. And then you say there is a whole other picture which you are not aware of. And that is why the companies are able to fool you. Okay, you drink, kuch farak nahi padta. Or the society in general, or you develop a belief, kuch farak nahi padta. But the reality is that every year 30 lakh people die because of alcohol, which is one death every 10 seconds. Now, the problem is all these deaths are occurring in closed doors, behind closed doors, or in hospital wards. Because a person will drink a lot and enjoy in parties, and people will see that. But once he gets addicted and once he is facing problems, he's not going to drink in the people's eyes. And people are ashamed of that addiction. And they try to hide the things from the family and the society. In my own family, my mother's we are recently celebrating my mother's 75th birthday, and she made a list of all her cousins, and two of her cousins have died who are no more, and they are because they are drinking alcohol, or they were drinking alcohol more compared to others. And in spite of that, the remaining ones continue to drink in their relatively less quantities. There is simply no acknowledgement and clarity that this kills, partly because the process is so gradual. that people believe mine is currently less, I am in control, it won't happen to me. And people keep ignoring the deaths which are happening in their families also. People keep ignoring these deaths, believing it can't happen to me. In fact, in families where currently a person is addicted, the other family members would want him to stop, but they won't be wanting to stop because they believe I am in control and that is perfectly fine. So, this belief that drinking in control is in my hand is responsible for well educated people wanting to drink. So, it's nice to tell youngsters that once a person gets addicted, the psychiatrist or the psychologist to which whom he would go for treatment tries to convince the family that this is a disease. He's not doing it intentionally. It can happen to anyone, etc. etc. But we believe that rather than getting addicted and then learning it's a disease which can happen to anyone, it's nice that I would like to tell you, I mean, you can tell to that youngster that I would like you to know now itself that addictiveness is a physiological property of certain substances. And while everyone does not get addicted, but it can happen to anyone. When a person touches alcohol or ganja, roughly 10 to 20% can get addicted. When a person touches tobacco, cigarettes, roughly 50 to 70% people get addicted. Now, 10 to 20% can feel a small number. But one thing I tell youngsters is if there are 100 students in your class and if all of you start to drink, in the next 10-15 years, 10 of you will get ruined. Is that a small number? Not very big, but not very small either. Right? So that is point one. Okay, how does it harm? You can also give a comparison. Okay, which substance harms more? So brown sugar is regarded to be more harmful, ganja is regarded to be more harmful, and they are more harmful. But because they are more harmful, they are illegal. And because they are illegal, the relative consumption is low. And because alcohol is thought to be safe, the relative consumption is high. And because of which, the total harm to the society amongst all the substances is highest for alcohol. So there are two studies. One is a technical. Okay, anyways. So one study said that if you look at which substance is causing the maximum deaths, then the answer is tobacco. But if you look at which substance is overall causing more harm to the person as well as to the society around, then the answer is alcohol. Now there is another study which is called as the Global Burden of Disease Study, wherein scientists across the world come together and they every few years try to identify which are the biggest problems facing mankind. As per Global Burden of Disease 2019, out of all the risk factors of disease adjusted life years lost in the young age group of 25 to 49 years, the top five risk factor, the first is alcohol use. Then comes high BP, then comes overweight, then comes smoking, and then comes unsafe sex. So, something which is the most common risk factor for disease burden is becoming extremely popular because people believe it is not harmful. So, this belief that it is not harmful is more a factor of ignorance and lack of effective education of youth by the society at large, predominantly doctors and teachers. We are failing in our responsibility. So I believe if few youngsters take it, it's their fault. But if majority start taking it, it's the fault of the society, which failed to educate its youth at the right time and give a adequate perspective. Another way, like I told, okay, because more harmful substances are illegal, their use is less. So as of to recent years in India, the number of people with problematic opioid use is 77 lakhs. Problematic cannabis use is 72 lakhs. But problematic alcohol use is 5.7 crores. Problematic tobacco use 26 crores. So it is these legal substances perceived as less harmful and therefore being taken by many, which are really destroying the health and the well-being of families in a very big way. So these are some of the facts you can give them, right? And I'm sure no one wants to hit the X on their leg. Once we give them facts, they'll be convinced, yeah, pretty bad. Now this is about deaths. Let's look at few facts about how do they impair the quality of life even when they're alive. So first is they damage multiple organs and cause disabling diseases. You can give whatever knowledge you have, you can say. One particular thing I tell which really is impactful according to me is talking about delusion of infidelity, which means the person who drinks keeps getting a doubt on his wife that she is not faithful. And then they fight, there is arguments, and it's to a delusional level. Means his own parents will convince him, okay, either she's good, she's faithful, he doesn't get convinced. And he actually has to be given medicines, antipsychotic medicines to take this delusion out. And of course, many of them don't accept it, and the couple keeps fighting. A milder version is called morbid jealousy. So he will not confidently say that she has an affair, but he can't tolerate her talking to any male, and there'll be fights over she talking to anyone. And this morbid jealousy is seen in about 20 to 25% people who drink long term, and that explains why fights are so common in couples where alcohol is there. I ask youngsters, how many of you will be okay if your future boyfriend or husband is doubting you even though you are faithful to him? Or how many of you will be okay if you are getting a doubt on your wife or girlfriend even though she is faithful to you? And if that doesn't sound a very nice situation to be in, then think twice before wanting to enjoy by taking this mind altering substance. And of course, there are various other diseases which you can inform them about. Second is impotence. Again, sexuality matters a lot to people. So telling them that the risk of erectile disturbance is very high in people who drink and smoke. So like we saw that it accelerates atherosclerosis, leading to heart attacks and strokes. Now the artery to the heart is almost double the size of artery to the penis. So of course, many years before the artery to the heart gets blocked, it's the artery to the penis which starts getting constricted, and the blood flow doesn't happen, resulting in erection difficulties. And then of course it's a very stressful situation to experience, and people come to psychiatrists and say now there is no meaning in life. And probably this is one of the reasons why they start doubting their wives. Okay, they know I'm not able to perform and she may not be happy, and then she might be going to someone else. There are independent delusional changes also in the brain, but this might also be the reason. So point is, you can definitely make it a point to inform youngsters that out of the four organic causes of impotence, alcohol, tobacco, diabetes, and high BP are the four most common reasons. Third, you can tell them that they are gonna destroy your heart, lungs, hands, legs. So your stamina for physical work and for sports will keep decreasing. It's a financial disaster. Recently, a friend told me that when she was planning a party for her kid, she decided to not give alcohol because of various factors, but one of the factor was the expense on alcohol is almost half the price, half the cost of organizing a party. So that is one way of looking at it, but that is just one time. But the point is, those who get addicted, even a poor person spends minimum 100 rupees a day, 36,000 a year, and the rich people, middle class people, there is no limit. For example, I was seeing a professional who was spending 50,000 every month on his drinking. So even though he had an income of 70,000 for many years, but because he squandered 50,000 on drinking, today he's in a debt of about 3 4 lakhs. And because of intoxication, his work performance kept going down, and today he doesn't have any job either. So it's a big financial disaster. So Vijay Mallya, Manik Chand, and everyone who is in alcohol tobacco business will become millionaires, but at the cost of draining lakhs and crores of family and maintaining the poverty in the society. Fifth is work absenteeism. So New Year party is on 31st, but holiday is on 1st because the whole of the Western world is not in a position to work on that day. So when Saturday nights go in drinking, your Sunday mornings go in hangover rather than enjoying some hobby you like or spending time with your kids and family or whatever. So do you really want that? And sixth is it decreases your attractiveness, your skin wrinkles faster, it gets dehydrated, your breath smells, your teeth blacken if you're taking tobacco, beer belly, puffy face, etc. So overall, your attractiveness decreases. So it's a nice thing to tell youngsters, okay, whatever parameters of masculinity are there, attractiveness, sexual capacity, financial power, physical stamina, professional competence. The industry tries to promote it as a symbol of masculinity. But the reality is, if alcohol does something to masculinity, it decreases a person's masculinity. Last point you can tell, or seventh point you can tell is कि it decreases your mental performance. So if you, it's a brain toxin. So if you see the MRI of someone who has not taken alcohol versus someone who has taken alcohol for 10 or more years, you can see that the empty CSF spaces have become bigger. The brain has shrunk, destroying your brain, which gives you your power as a human being. Is that a smart way? Is that a cool way to enjoy? It's a very powerful question you can ask youngsters. Again, people drink to become happy, but depression, anxiety, panic attacks are seen more in those who drink and smoke. And lastly, it's nice to tell youngsters that a growing brain, till 21 years, your brain is growing. And a growing brain catches habits faster. So the handwriting which you develop now stays with you throughout life. The habit of exercising or not exercising, or what you eat, what you don't eat, usually is quite resistant to change. Similarly, it has been seen in studies that when youngsters start drinking even before the age of 15, about 40% get addicted. And when people drink after 21 for the first time, about 10% get addicted. So after that also 10% get addicted, so it should never be touched. But before 21, the risk is very high. And therefore, you can tell youngsters, okay, your brain is growing. At least till 21, don't take it. Otherwise, the risk in few today you won't be addicted, but in the next few years you will get addicted is very high. And secondly, if a youngster is there today, it depends on his academic career. His long-term life depends. And if he is taking a brain damaging substance, then his ability to memorize things, learn, judgment, impulse control all goes down. So this is something important fact you can tell them. Another thing you can tell them is this alcohol, tobacco are gateway drugs. They introduce you to more harmful drugs. Example, let's say all youngsters know that hard drugs are bad. And I'm sure no sane individual would want to take them. But then how come youngsters start taking hard drugs? That's because when you start taking alcohol, you are telling yourself that it's okay to knock off your brain and become happy. Not do anything, not achieve anything, not do anything meaningful, but just knock off your brain and have an artificial high created by substance. And you start enjoying it, you start loving it. So then, the next time when you're intoxicated and your ability to think is anyways knocked off, you're being happy, and someone in a rave party tells you that, you know what, take this substance, it will give you a bigger high. There is really no reason for that person to say no. And so when people start drinking, and if their friend circle, someone is taking hard drugs also, before they realize, gradually, because again, they need to sell it to more of their friends to get their supply. So their friends somehow convince them during parties, and then more and more youngsters start taking these drugs. So they act as gateway drugs as well. Fine. So this is point one. Second point, we can try to. So what is point one? We tell them facts, which probably will convince them why not to take it. Second point is, let us give answers to some common misconceptions. So one way of doing it is just ask them only. Why do you think it's okay to take it even though it's harmful? Then they will say some misconceptions. You answer them. Now, one of the most common misconceptions people say is little bit of alcohol is good for the heart. So you can answer that. Okay, firstly, yes, there are some studies which say that little bit of alcohol is good for the heart. But the evidence is not consistent. There are some studies which say it, and there are some studies which say even little bit of alcohol is not good for the heart. Now, it's nice to know that the International Center on Alcohol Policy is started and funded by the alcohol industry. And therefore, we can't blindly trust any research which comes from in this area. And now the studies which say that alcohol is moderation is good for the heart, they will come in all the newspapers. But the studies which say that even in moderation alcohol is not good will never come in any paper. So that is point one. Point two, there have been many methodological flaws which have been identified in studies which make this claim. Today I won't go in that, it's a technical detail. Third, at least an Indian multicentric study has shown that this is not true for Indians at least. In Indians, even occasional alcohol users had a 1.2 times higher risk of getting heart disease, and regular alcohol users had 1.6 times higher risk of getting a heart disease. So, not true for Indians. Fourth, a random doctor will often keep saying this stupid thing, but either because he is ignorant or because he himself drinks and needs an excuse or wants to decrease his guilt, or because he is paid by the alcohol industry to spread the misconception. But what does American Heart Association recommend? It tells on its website that this claim is not proven and the potential risks far outweigh the claimed benefits, and it is not possible to predict in which person alcoholism will become a problem. Hence, we caution people, do not start drinking for unproven health benefits. If you really want to protect your heart, there are many proven ways like quitting smoking, healthy stress management, sleeping time, fitness, etc. etc. Fourth, heart, okay, some debate is still there. But cancer, there is unequivocal evidence that even light drinking, 1 or 2 drinks a day, that also definitely increases your risk for cancer. In 2020, approx more than 1 lakh people got their cancer because of light alcohol drinking of just 1 to 2 drinks a day. And lastly, on the brain, a recent study of over 36,000 adults found that people who were regularly drinking just 1 drink a day, by the time they reached the age of 50, their brain had aged by about 6 months more. If they were drinking 2 drinks a day, their brain had aged by 2.5 years. And if they were just drinking 4 drinks a day, their brain had aged by about 10 years more by the age they were 50, which means at the age of 50, their brain was of someone who was of age 60. That's what you are doing to your brain when you drink alcohol. Now, it's nice to give people context. What is the meaning of 4 drinks? 1 drink is 30 ml, 4 drinks is 120 ml. And people usually who drink regularly are taking at least 1 quarter, which is 180 ml, which is 6 drinks. So people believe I to take only 1 quarter, which is 6 drinks, which is heavy drinking. But they believe that is light drinking. So it's nice to tell them light drinking is just 30 ml, 60 ml, not 180 ml. And this relatively light drinking is also harmful. Light drinking is, of course, less harmful than heavy drinking, but light drinking is also harmful. Okay. So this argument you can give. So let's come to the second most common people, youngsters say that I'm going to drink responsibly. So what is the answer to that? I will give some, we will discuss this in some details so that you can convince them. First is, as I said, everyone who touches alcohol wants to drink in control. No one wants to intentionally destroy their life by drinking excessively, right? But it just happens. I often say, no one plans, okay, today I will get intoxicated and kill someone in an accident, or I will fall in a gutter, or I will lose my job, etc. It just happens to about 10 to 20% people. Why? Because it's a physiological property of alcohol, tobacco, ganja, brown sugar, and other addictive substances. What is that physiological property? So let's look at this graph. So the first time someone takes alcohol, tobacco, or any addictive substance, they get a high because there is a huge release of dopamine in the brain and it feels good, very good. And once it happens a few times, the brain resets the baseline. And then at the end of it, they don't come back to normal. They go below normal. They feel restless, irritable when they're not taking that substance. And they again want it. They take it, they will get a high, but after some time, it will be less than the high they experienced with the first drink. And at the end of it, they will be ending still worse. And the cycle continues till a day comes in the life that as soon as they get up, they need a eye opener drink just to get started and feel normal. Or they need to take their smoke to just to be able to pass their stools. If a smoker wants to enter the library, he has to first smoke and then study because till then his brain won't work. So the mind and the body becomes a slave of these substances. And at that point, the high which they had got with one drink or one smoke will need two drinks. Then they will need three drinks for the same high. Something which they proudly say, मेरी capacity बढ़ गई है. Capacity बढ़ गई है is one way of saying it. The other way of saying it is one, two drinks don't make any difference to me now. Unless I take six drinks, I don't get my high. Okay. So this tolerance, withdrawal symptoms, and craving. Craving means once you have experienced it, you have a very strong desire, which is very difficult to control. You keep deciding, like all of you would know. People who are addicted keep quitting, again start, keep quitting, again start. So this extremely strong desire is called craving. And this craving, tolerance, and withdrawal are physiological properties of these substances. So, like we will not say, okay, I will put sugar on my tongue, but it will not taste sweet because my willpower is strong. We'll never say it. But a lot of people say, I will take an addictive substance, but my willpower is strong, I will not get addicted. It's not a test of your willpower. There are many successful film stars, doctors, engineers who had great willpowers and they succeeded in their professional lives. But because they were using this addictive substance, gradually it destroyed their life. So it's not a test of your willpower, is what we can tell them. Okay, fine. Another point you can say is, hey, chalo, let's assume you will not get addicted and lifelong you will just keep drinking in parties. Are you safe then? So then the answer is, even those who just drink in parties, about 40 to 50% of them at least some point in time binge. A binge is defined as 5 or more drinks on a single occasion by men or 4 or more drinks in a single occasion by women. And binge drinking is also responsible for a lot of accidents under intoxication. All the newspaper reports you see are often by binge drinkers, be it teenagers, be it adults. So Salman Khan की गाड़ी जो कोई भी चला रहा था, the driver was not an addict who was stupid, worthless. A pretty successful person, capable person, but he had binged. And then that can result in accidents, right? A medical college, first year students, they had gone on a party, binged, many of them, accident happened, they died. But the sad part is, I inquired, is that group continuing to drink? And the answer is yes. In spite of one of their own friends dying by binging, the tendency is to believe that was luck, that was fluke, right? Few more examples which I have witnessed around me. So there was a doctor group, a group of 5 doctors, 4 of them drinking, one not drinking. So they would regularly attend CME parties, and the 4 doctors who drink would binge. Now they are doctors, capable, performing their duties well, but day of party they will binge. So the non-drinking friend would drive. But one day the non-drinking friend did not attend the party, the CME, whatever. And CME is continued medical education, wherein doctors drink then after the education. So one day he was not there, and none of the other four could control. So all of them ended up drinking, and now someone has to drive. So they drive an accident, and 4 of them died. So well-educated people can also either lose their own life or kill someone else when they are binging in parties. Okay, many examples. We'll pause there. Second, behavioral problems under intoxication. We often see people normalizing bad behavior done under alcohol and making jokes of it. अरे कल कितना पिया था, अरे ऐसा बोल रहा था, वैसा बोल रहा था. Because people want to normalize it because they want to continue to drink it, they actually make fun of it. But think of it. People misbehave under intoxication. One head of unit of a particular department in my college, he was shouting a female intern's name under intoxication, and that girl had to cry and leave the party. Imagine how he would have faced the department next day. I don't know. But a lot of people, they message things, say things under intoxication. People store those messages, or people have seen that, and people remember that. And people believe that if you have said under intoxication, that's your true personality. and you spoil your reputation for life. You strain relationships for life. That's another big disadvantage. Third is if you are binging in parties, that is also damaging your organs when you drink a lot on a single occasion, even though you are not drinking regularly. And fourth is work absenteeism. Because you have binged, the next day you wouldn't be working well. Okay. Then there is this belief that it is gonna take away our stress. So it's nice to explain youngsters that alcohol, of course, makes you forget your stress, and for few hours you feel carefree. That's 100% true. But two things are there. First is this stress release is only temporary. It doesn't solve any problem. And therefore, the problem, and because you have forgotten about the stress, you are not going to work on that stress. And therefore, the stress keeps complicating. So, a loan of 10,000, because you are just knocking off your brain and not working on it, it will become 20, 50, 1 lakh, 2 lakh, unsolvable suicide. And second, I mean, in a way, the same thing, but it actually decreases your ability to cope with the stress. Your money is also getting drained. You're in. So now, how are you going to cope with it? Right? So every year, lakhs of youngsters lose their girlfriends and boyfriends. And most of them cry, feel the pain, move on. But those who resort to drinking become devdas and ruin their whole life because their brain never engages with the pain. And then brain never processes the pain and doesn't solve it. Okay, I need to put the charger on. Give me a moment. Okay. So I was saying, okay, second is it doesn't allow you to smartly deal with your stress. And therefore, your stress is complicated. Example, a lover who has had a breakup, if he drinks, he's never going to come out of the pain because he will never engage with the pain and process the pain. And thirdly, while it's not going to solve the problem, but independently, the alcohol itself, the damage it will cause in your social, professional, personal life is going to create more stress. For example, the doctor who signed my internship completion certificate, he was the CMO, Chief Medical Officer. By the time I finished my psychiatry residency, I saw him begging in the campus. In the sense, one day he came to me and I met him on the campus and he said, "Arey, 10 rupees dena." So I felt that his pocket may have been stolen by someone or something. So I gave him 10 rupees. After 3 days, again he came in, 10 rupees dena. Then I realized something is wrong. How can the doctor ask me 10 rupees second time in 3 days? And then I realized in many years he enjoyed his parties. But today, the alcohol has taken away his job, his respect, his skills, everything. And when he goes to meet his professor friends, they tell the प्यून कि वो बेवड़ा आया तो उसको बाहर से निकाल देने का. So he has lost everything. So does it decrease stress? It does. But is that a smart way of decreasing stress? No. So I tell youngsters, I'm not saying you remain sad. What I'm saying is you become happy in a better way. You become more happy and you learn to cope with your stress in healthier ways. And second, you learn to enjoy in healthy ways so that you will remain happier, more happier, and for longer. Okay, fine. Now, one context I want to say for adults. Okay, if a youngster is studying the whole day and no enjoyment, and in the night his friend tells, "अरे एक cigarette मार, एक drink मार, बहुत अच्छा लगेगा," he will say, "Yes, yes, please give me, very much required." So unless we encourage healthy ways of recreation, it's not possible to expect that they will not take unhealthy ways of recreation. So let's look at some positive examples. So there was a village in Kerala called Maruttichal and lot of drinking problem. So one person taught chess to the village. And I don't know how effectively he did that, but today, youngsters to old people, everyone keeps playing chess and no one drinks there. Another very good example is Iceland. Iceland is a country where about 30 years back in 1998, the problem of drunk youngsters being drunk was highest in Europe. As of today, the drunk teenagers being drunk problem is lowest in Europe. What did they do? They had a comprehensive 5-step program, but one of the most important parts of that program was they started many stadiums for youngsters to play with various facilities like football, badminton, this, that, dance, etc. And they encouraged youngsters to go there in evenings after their school hours. So when they provided a healthy high, automatically the need for an unhealthy high went down. Similarly, when we are talking of parties, I encourage everyone. Okay, let us not just since 2 years I've been doing this experiment. So let me tell you where the idea came from. So there is an NGO called Addict Sri Lanka. So they arrange parties for youngsters wherein young people can come and have fun, and there is games and there is good things to eat and dance and music, but no drinking. And youngsters have great fun. So one of their staff who had seen all these parties and witnessed youngsters having so much fun, when her daughter attained menarche, and in their village there was a custom that or a tradition, when a girl attains menarche, you give party to the whole village, and there is a lot of alcohol in that, of course. So she said, no, in my daughter's party there'll be no alcohol. And the husband and son were like, who will come and people will put names, but she was confident, no, no alcohol. And people came and they had great fun. And next day everyone was talking in the village, wow, what a party, we had so much fun. And because alcohol was not served, a 50,000 deposit was made in her account. So since that day, in that village, no girls' menarche party, alcohol is given and everyone gets a fixed deposit. The point is, 2 points. First is, if unhealthy cultures can get made, healthy cultures can also be made. But we need people to take a stand. And second, we can we can plan parties which will be more fun than drinking alcohol. So I want to share my personal experience. So once I started saying such things, a thought came to my mind, okay, but where am I organizing such parties so that youngsters around me can get this idea? So since 2 years in on 31st, I have been arranging, and trust me, all adults and youngsters have dhamal. So what are some of the things we have done? Now there are some party games. You will get a lot of ideas on the internet. 2, 3 party games which really work. I'll start with the biggest hit. I'll try to say, I think you will get it, even though you're not witnessing it. So what you have to do is, there is a paper and there is only one pen, and everyone sits in a circle, preferably on the ground. And there is a dice which everyone throws. And if the dice comes 6, then I have to start to write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I mean, if I'm throwing 6, I get a chance to write. And I have to write from 1 to 100. Now, if 6 comes, I can start writing, but others will keep throwing the dice. And as soon as someone else throws 6, they will take the pen from my hand and they will start writing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I will stop. And then again, the dice people keep throwing. And again, next time when I am able to throw 6, I will take the pen, and from wherever I had stuck, let's say I was stuck at 14, I'll continue 15, 16, 17. And then someone again throws, again, he will take the pen. I hope you understood. This game, people just die laughing. Okay. So this is one example. So like this dumb salad, sorry, dumb charades or whatever you call it. So that is another big hit. And there are some other games. So we can discuss more of it. But the bottom line, arranging some party games. You can also ask women what are the kitty games they play, or any 1 minute games. So it's great fun. So that is point one. Other thing which can be done, which also I have heard some of my friends arrange youth camps, and in those youth camps, besides all the dance and music and this that and games, they also have discussions on topics which youth feel a wish to talk, express, discuss, debate. Um, so that is another thing. Okay, it can also be and young people, not everyone wants to just drink and smoke. A lot of young people have a lot of passion to make a difference, to understand things, and having discussions on important topics as a structured way, as a part of celebrating, can be a nice thing. But let's come to more routine parties. So one another good suggestion is everyone present shares one thing that they learned in the last 1 year and one thing that they have planned for the next year, and which makes it a very um, nice sharing. For example, in the first party we had arranged, a lot of friends from different areas of life had come, and a lot of them sharing what they have done till now, what are they proud of. And my mother had exclaimed, "Ke," I forgot her exact words, but it was something like, I mean, wow, I'm so impressed. And it was such a treat to hear so many wonderfully lived lives, right? So, anyways, and people also feel good to talk about things they are passionate about. So, some such question can be there about the past or the future. Another good discussion point can be if it's a family which has come together or a friend circle which has come together, it can be one thank you and one sorry. Everyone can say one thank you, sorry to the person on the left. Or if it's a very small group of 6, 7 people, maybe one thank you to everyone and one sorry to everyone for whatever has happened. Can also be a nice thing. Another idea which works well is everyone brings one thing and there is a potluck dinner. In the sense, you understood. Okay, so someone makes idli, someone makes pudding, someone makes X, someone makes Y. And of course, it's coordinated. The host listens to everyone and just says, okay, you can bring this, you can bring this, and make sure that there is no duplication. And that's nice. So no one has to really put in too much effort to cook something, and there is a variety to be eaten. So these are few thoughts, and there is a poster we have made of these ideas. So I will share that poster. Okay. Any one of you would like to? So let me pause for 2 minutes over here. Any one of you would like to share what are some of the party ideas which what are some of the parties which you enjoyed a lot, or what you enjoyed about a party, any party which you have been to, or what are your ways of enjoying, or anything? Let me, I think you are guys are uncomfortable about the recording. So I'm going to pause the recording for some time so that everyone can speak. Okay. So, but the main point we were making over here is this. Okay, while the best way to encourage youngsters to not drink in parties is to give them experiences of parties which are much more fun than the drinking parties they have attended. And there can be nothing more convincing than that, right? So there'll be one. And of course, the other thing is, okay, while alcohol will get you some few moments of fleeting happiness, but they are going to be fleeting and it's going to cause you much more pain in the long run. And therefore, you enjoy in smarter ways. So, this is the broad two arguments. Let us understand this important point that when a youngster keeps looking at a lot of his uncles, respected members of the society, father drinking in festivals, marriages, it's only natural for him to believe that this must be a lot of fun. This must be great, right? And there is a lot of normalization in his mind. This is okay to do. So, one of the best ways to ensure that your youth around you would not want to do it is to denormalize it. Now, one way of denormalizing is to give logical explanation that just because something is common does not make it normal. Things like child labor, eve teasing, female feticide, where once upon a time common in our country, some are still common. Corruption is still common. So, do we start regarding it to be normal? We do that, but that's not how it should be, right? If something is common and useful for the society, we proudly take it forward as our culture. But if something is common and harmful for the society, then shouldn't all of us get together and uproot it from the society as soon as possible? And then you can give them examples of people like Kapil Sharma, Javed Akhtar, Piyush Mishra, who are very celebrated and successful and smart. And Javed Akhtar says that because of alcohol, I lost about 10 years of my life. I could have done so much more. Kapil Sharma's show had to be shut down because of his drinking. Luckily, he went to a de-addiction center and he could quit and he again got finance and his show again started. So the point being, even successful people do get addicted and it's better to not start. And one of the best ways to denormalize is to encourage the adults in your social circle. So let's talk about your family. So if you are inviting all your family members, then appeal to the adults. You see, whatever adults feel like doing, it's okay. But if we want to denormalize drinking of this addictive poison for the next generation At least in our family get-togethers, let's not keep it. Otherwise, we are normalizing it for them. And when their friends force them, it is only natural for them to believe that it's okay to drink. Father, kaka, mama, everyone drinks. So before expecting the youngsters to not take it, can we make an effort for the adults to not take it? Right? And that is one way of saying it. And the other way of looking at it is, if you're having family friends, try to consciously choose family friends who don't drink and socialize. Give that peer group to your youngsters, that it would be only normal for them to not drink because all the adults they look up to don't drink. Now, understand that can be difficult, but at least let's try. I can give you an example of my friend. So she, when her cousin was getting married, the cousin drinks and her father also drinks. So they were planning to keep alcohol in the party, but she and her sister took a stand. Okay, when men are drinking, we find it very uncomfortable to dance or to enjoy or feel free. And because they express themselves, a lot of others also expressed, and then the marriage family also said, fine, it's in a way, whatever they said, but they accepted. So then alcohol was not kept during those celebrations, right? So what I'm trying to say is, once you speak up, the problem is people who drink speak up very boldly and encourage others and force others to drink. But people who don't drink remain shy and believe it's a crime to be voicing themselves or to express something different or to expect a healthy environment to be kept so that youngsters don't get influenced. But you will be surprised that often when you speak up, a lot of others will also join your voice and they will also support. And while there is no guarantee, for example, in my MBBS batch, someone tried to suggest, I supported, okay, never get together, let's not keep alcohol, but it was voted out. Alcohol is necessary. Fine. So it wouldn't always succeed. But hopefully, in your smaller family, you will be able to convince. And that so people can, in their individual lives, also they can stop. But at least in family get togethers, to give to the next generation, can we stop that? Can we appeal? It can be made. Okay. Now, one argument which can be very convincing for a youngster to hear, that a belief is there in people that in developed countries, alcohol is not a problem because they drink in control. So it is nice to ask them a question: which country is harmed more by alcohol, India or USA? And they will usually say India. But the answer is USA or UK or France. So as per WHO data, chalo, many people will argue with you. Okay, Indian data is underreported. Bola, chalo, Indian data bhul jao. But the developed countries, which you believe are well-educated people who know how to drink in control, in USA, the prevalence of alcohol dependence and abuse is 17.6% in men. In UK, it is 13%, and in France, it is 11%. Many people believe, okay, we need to learn from France how to drink in control. We need to teach our youngsters how to drink in control by making them drink in front of us. 48% men in France reported that they had binged on alcohol in the last 1 month. Should we really follow the cultural trends of alcohol of France to control the problem of alcohol addiction in our country? So it can be a very eye opener for them. Okay, even in developed countries, people do get harmed because this is an addictive substance. In fact, today I met a friend of mine who lives in USA, and she told that just like people fool themselves into believing one drink, two drinks doesn't harm, a lot of pregnant mothers continue to drink one, two drinks, because there is a shared belief that one drink doesn't harm the baby. Now, there is no medical textbook which says this, but people make themselves believe this. So, just like men can't control drinking once they start liking it, women know at some level that their own baby is getting affected, yet they can't stop. As per a survey of CDC USA, Center for Disease Control USA, 10% pregnant mothers in USA drink alcohol. That is what this addiction is. So I think these are some very strong arguments you can give to convince them that even well educated people get trapped when they take this addictive substance. Okay. Lastly, when you're talking to young people and telling them don't take, you have to empower them on how to say a no. Because even if they're convinced, we all have a need to be accepted by our friend circles. And if they are forcing, after some time, you're like, they are, chal, khatam kar, you know. So We need to empower them how to say no. Few common things I say are: first, understand why do people force. People don't force because just because they have a great experience and they want you to have that great experience. For example, someone will see a great film and they will highly recommend it to you. अरे बहुत अच्छा film है जरूर देख. But they will not say like, I will pay your money, you must see. If you don't see, our friendship is cut. They will not say things like that. But for alcohol, they will do that. They will shame you for not taking. They will threaten to break friendship and they will do lots of things. Why? That's because if they are taking alcohol and you are not taking, then that gives them a feedback that probably there is something wrong in this thing because of which you are not doing. And that doesn't allow them to enjoy without a hesitation. So when they convince everyone around them to drink, then they can drink without feeling any awkwardness or guilt or anything. So it's important to keep in mind that people getting together and forcing you does not make them right and does not make you wrong. Second, out of this understanding, it's important to be proud of your healthy choice rather than be ashamed of it. Because people will talk as if you are a stupid person, uncool person. If you're proud, then you will be able to sustain. If you're feeling embarrassed and ashamed, then you will have to give in. A lot of people say कि we are open to experimentation. At least एक बार तो मतलब a lot of silly arguments are given. One of them is, are you not a scientific person? If you have never taken it once, how do you know it's bad? Should you not be at least trying before rejecting? A good answer to this would be that scientific people learn from others' experiences also. Right? It's not necessary to make all the mistakes myself and then learn from it. This substance has ruined lakhs of families. I don't want my family to get ruined and then understand that this is a potential damage. No, you are weak, you are not confident. So then, no, I understand this is not about my willpower. It's a property of this substance. If I if I put my hand in fire, I'll get burnt, and there is no smartness in it. There is nothing about great about a person not getting addicted. That is luck. Some people don't get addicted, some people get addicted. Right? The point is, you have to keep your answer prepared. As thinking through what common things my friends are force me with, if you keep your answer prepared, मर्द नहीं क्या, मर्द हूं, मर्द रहना चाहता हूं इसीलिए नहीं पी रहा, तुझे भी मर्द रहना है तू भी बंद कर दे. Or it can be as simple as, in my religion it's not permitted. It can be, I've given a promise to my mother I won't drink. It can be, I have witnessed my uncle getting destroyed by it, I will never touch it. It can be whatever. It can be alcohol increases the risk of impotence. I don't want my wife to regret marrying me. It can be whatever. But the point is, whatever you are comfortable saying, prepare your answer and keep. And when you do that, it'll be easy to say it. Okay. Today, a friend shared with me his example that his niece and nephews were excited about starting to drink, and he had a discussion with them. Why do you want to drink? And they said it helps relax, it helps enjoy. And he told them, but I can enjoy without drinking also. I mean, as a positive thing. Okay, I don't need this to enjoy. I have the ability to enjoy without it. And they liked the answer. So when their friends were forcing them, she confidently said, I have the ability to enjoy even without drinking. I don't need it to enjoy. So two things I'm saying. One, if the answer is prepared, a person can confidently say it. And second, we need to be willing to give answers to their questions and curiosities. And if we are able to do that, youngsters are more than happy to accept it. Okay. So and you encourage the youngsters that if you say once, twice, thrice, no, but if they still keep forcing, then you have to leave the place and go. Because if they're not respecting your healthy choice, then today or tomorrow you will give it. So you better leave that place, at least for that moment of celebration. And next day morning, many of them will even say sorry or will forget it. So then you can continue the friendship, but at least not there. And we tell them that India is an overpopulated country. You don't need to fear losing friends. And especially those friends who are hell bent on destroying your life. And true friends never force too much. For example, one of my friends, when he had his third or fourth breakup and was distraught, he told one of his friends, कि आज तो पिला ही दे. And that friend asked him, कि इसके पहले कभी लिया है क्या? And he said no. So the friend told, मत ले यार, फंस जाएगा. So true friends are like that. And someone who is not willing to respect your healthy choice You really don't need to worry about losing them from your life. How to appeal to youngsters without hurting their feelings? Very important to empathize and reassure them that you are not judging them. A very nice thing to say is, okay, I know nowadays it's very common, and I know that the peer pressure is high, and I know that everyone who takes is not stupid. It's just the norm. So when you start with this, they are assured that you are not judging them. You don't criticize them as stupid for taking alcohol or wanting to take it. You show your concern that I have seen a lot of families get ruined, a lot of people getting harmed, and I love you and I care for you. So I request you, can you give me an opportunity to share with you what I've read, what I've heard, what I've witnessed? And then I respect your right to take your decision, but will you please listen to me? Okay. So that can be a good way to start. I want to share one experience. So my brother invited me to a party with his friends. I tell 10 minute दारू पे बोलूंगा तो आने दो. All of them drink. So they said हाँ 10 मिनट बोलने देंगे तेरे को. So then I went and my brother told his friend यार इसको सुन लो 10 मिनट सुन लो. So then I asked कि why do you take, and I gave my answers. And after that one of them said कि देख, for the first time someone has spoken to me on alcohol in a non-condescending way. And in respect of that, I will give up for 1 month. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is he didn't get offended when I was respectful and I was criticizing alcohol, when I was explaining why, according to me, alcohol is a stupid thing to do. And I was not judging him for that. Right. So we can take that respectful stance and they'll be more than happy to discuss. And lastly, it would be nice to start with asking their reasons rather than giving a 1 hour lecture. Ask them their reasons. Why do you take it? People say it harms, it kills. Why do you still feel? So many people are addicted. Why do you think it's okay to take? Let them give their reasons. Now, once you have heard their 2, 3 reasons, you will know exactly what things to say, which probably would convince them the most. And then if they ask more, you tell more. So, a good point to start is to ask the reason, and a good point to start, as what all of you have done, is to take the responsibility to first educate yourself enough to be able to give convincing answers. Most adults don't want to do that. They just want to shame the youngsters and they don't give any convincing answers. Another good example I want to give, there was this doctor, a young resident, who attended the workshop and after a few months contacted me. And she said, my parents have been telling me all life, don't drink, but I could never get convinced. But I attended the workshop and I got convinced. Now, the point is not I'm great. The point is we have compiled arguments and data, right? So, what I want to reassure is, okay, if we prepare well and we explain, the arguments are on our side. We just we we are the right side. We just have to say it properly. There's enough data. There are enough arguments, but we have to prepare. Then they will listen to us. Okay. Lastly, some effective ways I've already said, but I'll say it's nice to give the examples you have witnessed in your life, or probably they have also witnessed because of it being in the family. They'll be really nice. You can prepare well, you can denormalize, you can use some social media content. So you can see this visual, such a powerful visual. So things like that are available on social media. This is from alcoholthinkagain.com.au. It's an Australian site. There are some Indian resources developed by WHO, Zero, Southeast Asia region. So there are 15 audio stories, 10 videos, and 20 memes in this Meri Pyari Zindagi campaign, which can be found on our website, poisonswelove.org. These are some memes from the campaign. So this is an example of how through these videos, memes, in a interesting way, you can appeal to them. So now if you regularly keep sharing intermittently these in your circles, then that makes them think and makes them realize, हाँ यार उतना भी कुछ cool नहीं है ये, right? Our site is Powerful Gyan. So you can please subscribe to it, and intermittent you can share the posters we make. This is one of the posters we recently made and we are very happy about. Okay, what can be non-alcoholic drinks for events? So just message me on the chat if you're
Yes.
already not on our group. So then I will add you to the group. So then you will start getting the resources we share regularly. We share resources made by us as well as good resources made by others. Okay, these are some other common arguments we go on, but I guess let us stop there.